is Sydney Weidiger, and today I'll be giving an informative speech for my public speaking class.
Hannah?
So, The Lord of the Rings is a book and movie trilogy that is full of wild surprises. It has an epic, escalating plot, relatable scenarios we can apply to in our own lives, and amazing characters with impacting traits. Speaking of, there are several characters within The Lord of the Rings that demonstrate what being a good leader looks like. I bet you're wondering, why is that even important? To that I say, how is it not? Leadership is something that impacts all of us every day, and we ourselves need to know how to be good leaders to other people, and what better way to learn through an epic book and movie trilogy. So let's ask ourselves a quick question. Who are these characters and what are their traits? Meet Aragorn, Ranger from the North. He is one of the lead characters in the cast and in general is a leader. But why? Perhaps you think it's because he's strong and valiant, but he's also very humble and empathetic. True character isn't found on the outward appearance, but rather on the inward appearance, where a kind and gentle heart can be found. Also on the list we have Gandalf the Grey, a wizard. When you think of wizards, Gandalf is probably a spitting image of what you think of. Very old, wrinkly, and grandfather-like. With his old age comes a crown of silver hair, also known as wisdom. Gandalf is he's lived through countless life experiences, and when he talks about something, he probably knows what he's talking about. Gandalf is also very authoritative. He knows how to get the show on the road and conduct a group of people in an orderly fashion. And then, I would like to mention Samwise Gamgee, a 3'6" tall hobbit. Yes, even hobbits can demonstrate sensational leadership skills. He might be small, but he has one of the biggest hearts in all of the trilogy. He is courageous and lion-hearted in the heat of battle and has an undying loyalty to his friends. And now that we met some of our qualified characters, let's talk about their mentioned traits and why they're key factors to making a good leader. As I mentioned before, we have Aragorn, who is humble and empathetic. Having humility is being able to set aside one's own wants, ideas, and desires to better serve people around them. And then empathy is being able to understand and share feelings of concern for someone. Do note that both of these traits are very selfless. So in general, we can kind of conclude that leaders should be selfless. And then moving right along, leaders are also very wise and authoritative. And do note, you do not have to be old and wrinkly to be considered wise. When you learn from failure, you learn from it and you move on with it. And that's what leaders do. They learn from failure and move on. Leaders also need to have a strong backbone. If they can't stop a fight before it started, or learn to say yes, or learn to say no, or communicate with people, or most importantly, keep a team of people united together, then they're probably not going to be a good leader, and things are going to backfire. Being a good leader also means you should be courageous and loyal. The definition of courageous is not deterred by danger or pain, brave. To be courageous is again to be selfless, or rather to sacrifice. And that could be time or money or luxury, or in the Lord of the Rings case, blood. Loyalty is showing undying support or allegiance to someone or an idea. It is continually choosing to stick to something. And we should ask ourselves, if we're not loyal, who can trust us? If we're not loyal, then, loyalty is built on trust. And now that we've talked about our leaders and what they look like, I would like to talk about their traits, I'd like to talk about how those traits are seen in our three characters. First and foremost, we have Aragorn with his empathy and his humility. Throughout the trilogy, he's continually seen looking out for the four hobbits. He understands that they're scared of venturing out to the unknown, and he's able to relate to that, and he's able to reach out to them with a heartfelt understanding. And then when it comes down to humility, Aragorn kneels to Frodo, the ring bearer and a hobbit, pledging to die if that means to protect him. Then later, when Aragorn is crowned king, he again bows to Frodo. Just let that sink in for a second. A king is bowing to somebody that's 3'6" tall. And then we have Gandalf. Throughout the films, he drops more than one epic quote of wisdom on everyone. He uses his words to recall past knowledge and applies it to the situation he's in to better guide the fellowship. Also, when the city of Minas Tirith is under attack, he rallies the troops and saves the city, essentially, when the steward chooses to flee. And then finally, Samwise is courageous when he fights Shelob, an 8-foot-tall, 17-foot-wide spider, in order to protect Frodo. He takes his sword and lets out a battle cry and proceeds to injure the giant spider and causes her to flee, ultimately winning the fight. And just scenes before this, Frodo told Sam to go home, all for the wrong reasons, of course. But once the two friends separate, Sam knows in his heart that he can't just leave his friend, not when they're so close to winning. So Sam goes back after Frodo, and that wouldn't have ended up happening if it wasn't for his loyal and courageous heart. So in sum, we can take away very important qualities from these three characters. We can take away humility, wisdom, and loyalty, and those are just a few of the things I talked about. There are so many things that make a leader, and all of them are severely important. Again, there are several characters within the Lord of the Rings that demonstrate what being a good leader looks like. And though to some, the Lord of the Rings might look like a silly old trilogy, but in truth, it is a story full of amazing characters that can act as role models for us all. Thank you.